In a recent video of mine, I looked at Army of Me by Björk and how it uses the Locrian mode in its bass line. And a frequent response I've had to that video is from people who don't hear Army of Me as C Locrian, they actually hear it as B Aeolian. So how is it possible that different people are hearing the exact same piece of music in two different modes with two different keys? Well, it's because B Aeolian and C Locrian use the exact same notes. Both C Locrian and B Aeolian are modes of D flat major. All of these modes have the exact same notes. The difference is, the thing that dictates which mode you're in is which one of these notes is considered the root of the key. If the root is considered to be B flat, then you're in Aeolian. If the root is considered to be C, then you're in Locrian. So put simply, if you're listening to Army of Me and you hear the root as B flat, then you're going to hear the song in the context of B Aeolian. And if, like me, you hear C as the root, then you're going to interpret it as Locrian instead. So let's see which one you think it is. I'm going to play you the bass line from Army of Me with a C droning over the top. And then I'm going to do the same, but this time with a B flat droning over the top. And I want you to listen out to hear which one you think is the root note of the bass line. So first, let's play it with C over the top. And now with B flat. So which one sounded like the root to you? The B Aeolian sound or the C Locrian sound? Or maybe they both sounded right. Or similarly, maybe neither of them sounded right to you. To me, C just continues to sound like the root to me. Ever since people have started commenting about it actually being in B Aeolian, I've been trying to hear it in that context. I've been playing it with B flat in the background, and I've been putting the song on randomly without any context and then trying to determine what the root note is, and I always come to the same conclusion, that I hear the root as C. And I'm not the only one who hears Army of Me as Locrian. New York-based musicologist Ethan Hine wrote a brief analysis of the use of Locrian mode in Army of Me. And Alan Moore, who is Professor of Music at University of Surrey, also describes the song as Locrian in his book Song Means. The best way to understand this, I think, is by comparing it to an optical illusion. In optical illusions, the same image can appear differently to different people, despite the fact that it's objectively the same. Army of Me's bass line is an example of an aural illusion. As I explained in my last video on this, the Locrian mode features a diminished fifth, not a perfect fifth, and this results in the scale lacking resolution. Melodies written in the Locrian mode can often wind up sounding like they're in fact from the major scale from which that Locrian mode is derived. So for example, a song written in B Locrian could often wind up sounding like it's in C major, because C major has such a better sense of tonic and such a strong sense of resolution compared to the Locrian mode. So it's very hard to create a song in Locrian that feels stable and stays in Locrian throughout. After I posted my original video on this, quite a lot of commenters suggested the song Dust to Dust by John Kirkpatrick as an example of a song that stays purely within the Locrian mode.
Digging graves is my delight, digging graves for you to lie in. Digging graves from morn till night, I earns me living from the dying.
This song utilises the spooky, unresolved sound of the Locrian mode, playing perfectly into the song's theme of grave digging and death.
Sing this song to anybody that comes along. Dust to dust and ashes to ashes, and thus I sing my song.
Dust to Dust is in B Locrian and does a great job of keeping B as the root. I think the way that Kirkpatrick has done this and avoided the song slipping into a different mode is by completely avoiding the note G. G is a perfect fifth away from C major, so if we started hearing G, maybe it would start pulling us towards C major and away from B Locrian. Avoiding G is almost like avoiding an important piece of C major, which prevents the melody from being recontextualized into C. You may have also noticed that Dust to Dust isn't accompanied by chords, and instead all of the harmony comes from the interactions between the different melody lines. Fitting chords onto this tune whilst also preserving the Locrian sound would be quite difficult. The root chord in B Locrian would be B diminished. And if we played the B diminished chord underneath this song, it would probably actually start pulling us towards C major. Because B diminished often wants to resolve onto C major. At the end of the day, Locrian isn't the most dissonant scale you could come up with, but the reason it gets so much attention is because it comes in a set with all of the other modes. And the other modes are some of the most commonly used and most harmonically pleasing scales that we have: the major scale, the natural minor scale, Mixolydian, Lydian. Compared to them, Locrian is a virtually unusable, pointless scale. In the comments to my previous video, somebody likened Locrian's relationship to the other modes as Pluto's relationship to the other planets, and I think that's a pretty good parallel, because Locrian is definitely a mode, it fits all the proper criteria for a mode, but it's just not the same as the others. It really is the odd one out. But as we've seen from Dust to Dust and other examples, it certainly can find uses in the right places. So if you do know of any other uses of the Locrian mode, do send them my way because I'd love to have a look. And thank you again to all of my wonderful patrons who make these videos possible, including the names on screen and Andre Sainz-Diaja, Andrew Brown, Bob McKinstry, Chris Lawrence, Christopher Ryan, Daryl, David Diffendifer, David Efford, David Spalding, George Taylor, Melody Composed Squared, Nancy Gillard, Patrick Gonzalez, Paul, Peter Dunphy and Roger Yun.